Alrighty, here we are finally with a demo video showing you guys, reminding you guys how to make the Gypsophila baby's breath flower crown. Okay, so you all received your wire that I had already bent the ends in, so you don't have to worry about that. You already have your tape in your kit. Today you picked up your baby's breath. Okay, so remember, I've already bent the ends to make the loops on each one. So you're just gonna start taping and you're gonna pull it tight and angled so it's gonna cover the wire and make it nice and tacky for when you start putting your stems on there. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be tight enough that you're gonna have something that's gonna hold onto your stems a little bit so they won't slide around when you're trying to tape them on later. So you're gonna tape all the way down. Notice I'm not trying to go around with the tape. I'm spinning it in my hand, almost to the end. And we're to the end, we go over this little end right here where we bent the wire down. Go down a couple times to make sure it's adhered really well. Stick it back on itself so nothing is lifting up. Okay, you should be able to kind of feel that it's stuck together. If you slide your hand on it and your tape comes off, that's not a good thing. Oops, my end right here is torn. Okay. Now you're going to take your baby's breath and you're going to cut it into small little lateral branches. You don't want to leave it like this because then it's going to be wild and crazy once you put it on your wire. You're going to actually cut them so that those are individual bits and we can wrap them really tightly to the wire. Okay, so we're going to get it like this. And then with the floral tape, remember it likes to stick to itself, but the fact that we've taped it, the entire wire is really going to help. It's going to work in your favor here. So we just need to do a little bit. You don't have to go all the way to the end of these. Just a little bit, make sure it's stuck. Then you're going to prepare your next little bunch. So I have my next little fluffy Gypsophila baby's breath. And I'm going to tuck them around. Remember, you're trying to cover the previous taping with your next set of blooms. And you can't leave too big of spaces because otherwise when you bend it to put on your head, it's going to leave gaps. So you need to make sure that you're getting it up tight enough that it's covering the tape from the previous time, but not so high that you keep piling on, you get this giant wedge and run out of Gypsophila before you even get halfway down your wire. So I'm just going to tape it a couple times right here. And if you have too many stems sticking out, you can get rid of them. But you do need at least ½ an inch of stem, otherwise you don't have anything to anchor with. I have kind of an ugly one here. I'm going to take that one off. Get some more. And you can cut loose a bunch of these ahead of time so you don't have to keep putting your tape down and interrupting yourself. I'm just doing it as I go. I'm going to tuck these in here. Oops, those kind of came loose. Let me tape them again. It happens. My hands are so sticky that it's sticking more to me than to itself. Okay, here you go. Nice and tight taping. Again, you can pre-tear pieces, but it's hard to know exactly how much you're gonna need. Okay, that's better. Now I can add my next little set, and it's going to add fluffiness, but I'm not just making a giant wedge. I'm covering the tape from the previous wrap, previous little set. So I'm going to come in, put the tape on, stick it to itself, because remember this tape really, really likes itself. And when it's humid, it seems to behave a lot differently, you will notice, than when it's really dry air. So we're kind of making this little fat, it's about 1 inch wide. If you want it to be less fluffy, you can gently squeeze it. Don't squish it too much, but gently squeeze it in. Then we need our next little set. Here, tuck some on one side, some around the back so it looks good on all sides. Remember, so we don't have any bald spots. You don't want one of these little fluffy balls of the Gypsophila where you're taping though. So you need to make sure you take off anything that's going to be the way of where you're taping. I want one more little bit to cover the back a little bit more. And remember, if it's too fluffy, you can lightly squish it, or if you have one that's kind of a wild, crazy bloom, once you get done taping, you can clean it up a little bit, just trimming it out with sharp scissors. All right, next little bit. Squeeze it. So I have this so that when I bend it, it's not going to leave these big gaping holes, because I'm going to bend it gently so that it covers and makes this loop around like a crown. Remember, these are floral crowns. I'm going to add one more little bit, get some loose, kind of squeeze them together. They're covering the tape from the time before. There's this one guy that I'm not liking so much. I'm going to trim him out and tuck him down with this next set that I'm taping in. There we go. Fluff, fluff, fluff. Oops. Start the tape sticking to itself. Around. Usually around 3 or 4 times is all you need. And you continue going the rest of the way down the stem.